Welcome to Trial, Error, and Tiny Humans, where we talk about the joys, fears, and lessons on the road to parenthood. We are two best friends. We love Jesus, exploring our faith, practical planning, and just having real conversations with each other. And we hope to bring on different parents from all walks of life. We mentioned it in our last episode, but you may notice that our video and audio looks a little bit different. But it's okay. Same message, just a little bit of trial and error. Hope you enjoy it. Let's jump in.
I am one of your co-hosts, Alicia Pompa.
And I am Melissa Beasley.
Okay, so every episode we would like to start off with the opener. And so you picked this week's opener. Do you want to read it?
Did. If you could eat one snack for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Okay, so I have two options. What is a snack? Like, what constitutes as a snack?
Something that you wouldn't eat as a whole meal?
Like fries? Are fries a snack?
Yeah, because you're not going to eat that as just a meal.
Okay, I'm not going to.
I mean, some people would.
Yeah. Okay, so mine is either trail mix, and I'm talking about the unhealthy trail mix that has the M&Ms in it, and the raisins and the peanuts. That or pickles. Those would be my two. That's yours. No, it's not. Girl, shut up.
That's why when I thought of this question, I was like, man, like the first thing that came to my mind was pickles, but I was like, if that's all I eat, my stomach is just gonna hurt.
I don't think so. I feel like pickles help with cramps. They help with all types of cramps. They keep you hydrated. I was like, I could eat pickles. I feel like they're healthy for me. Healthier than the trail mix.
You know what? I mean, it is like it says one snack for the rest of your life. Not like that's you
the
have
only.
to eat, and you have to eat that all day. Okay, fair. This pickles.
That's yours.
Yes.
Why you choose pickles?
Because they're so good.
What you was gonna say?
They're so good. Yeah. They're so good. They're sour. They're sour. And juicy. Yeah.
I just had one today. Literally, we buy only the same brand. Like Renee put me on this brand. So it's the only pickles. I'm not gonna promote any brands on here. I'll tell you after the episode. But that is the only brand of pickle we eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I took Josh and Julian out yesterday, or Eliana too, and we were at Chick-fil-A, and they were just so excited to get pickles in their sandwich, and I was just like, yes,
really,
my babies love pickles.
They only get two,
but they were so excited. I get it. Like, I'm the type of friend, you don't want your pickles, give them to me.
Really?
Yes.
I never really think about the pickles at the restaurant as,
give me the pickles.
You know, when I thought about this question, those didn't pop in my mind.
Yep.
Those did not pop in my mind.
Okay, so you picked the guided scripture. So what's the guided scripture, and tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, today's guided scripture comes from 1 Samuel 18. I'll give you a little backdrop behind this scripture. So this scripture details the story. This chapter is about Hannah, who could not have kids. I know me and you talked previously about how there are quite a few barren women in the Bible. But in her story, you know, her husband, he would give to her all the time. Like, he gave to her as if she did have kids and she was still unhappy, very grieved about not having them. And so she went to church and she prayed so long and so hard that the prophet came out and blessed her. And this is what she said back to him. And she said, "Let your maidservant find favor in your sight." So the woman went her way and ate, and her face was no longer sad. And we are reading the New King James Version of this scripture. What does that verse say to you?
No, why'd you choose it?
I definitely, when I think about my why behind motherhood, there are people who wish, right? Like they wish. And then you have people who just never try. They just say, nope, that's not what I want. And for her, like, there was such a longing, a desire for this that, like, I felt that, you know. Yeah. I felt, and I mean, if you keep reading about her, like, her story is great. I mean, she birthed, you know, somebody very well known in our Bible. We're not going to tell you, you have to find that yourself. But I think that just her desire is what like fed me. Where
Yeah.
when we started talking about this podcast and like what types of scriptures we wanted, I knew Hannah was definitely gonna
Yeah.
come up for me.
Yeah. The whole story hits very close to home for me, um, because I prayed that prayer. Like I prayed not the exact prayer, but similar heart, right? Than the night before I found out that I was pregnant. Um, and so it hits very close to home for me. Um, and I feel like in that, like God met a need, and even though it didn't turn out the way I wanted it, right? Like He met a need, and so I feel like in this, like let me find, let your maidservant find favor in your sight. Then she ate and was no longer sad, right? And so I feel like there was just something that was met in her, and she was satisfied, and was able to basically kind of go on and just trust that the Lord was going to take care of that desire that she had. And so that hits very close to home for me right now. So
Yeah,
I love that you picked this.
I think parenting is, a walk of faith. Faith not by its biblical definition as much as you hope, like you hope this kid comes out healthy, you hope this kid turns out well, you hope this kid gets great grades and becomes somebody, and so I think here, just that amount of hope inside of here, I think I want to feel that hope. I know that is where I'm gonna be positioned, if I am, able to have kids, because I never even tried. I've been thinking about that a lot lately as we get into this podcast. Like, I don't know if I would be sad or not sad or that emotion, but to know like that this grieved her so that like she hoped for something else. And so I think a lot of parents situate themselves in like, I was talking to one of my coworkers who said like her kids are grown. And she was like, man, when they don't come home by like the time I'm going to bed, I can't sleep. Because you so anxious about them. They grown, they can take care of themselves, but you so anxious about like where is they, where are they, what they doing, So I think that in this scripture, like even knowing all of that, because Hannah had seen other kids, she wasn't like her husband didn't have no kids. Okay, go read your Bible, you find out more about that. He didn't have no kids, so she's seen other kids be raised, but she still wants to raise her own. And I know that a lot of women, a lot of not just women, I think men too.
Yeah.
They just want to raise their own kid.
For sure.
So Hannah's just a great testimony to talk about that.
And I think it goes very well with kind of what we're going to talk about today, which is our motivations, like what drives us to want to be a mother. And so Hannah's motivation was kind of put to the test here and tweaked. And so, yeah, what are we going to talk about?
Husband to her like, why you so sad when I give you everything? But for her, it was like that's the one thing he couldn't. The one thing he couldn't. And when you want something, you want it. Okay.
Yeah.
Just like our favorite snack. Okay. So for motherhood, like when you hear that word motherhood, what kind of mom do you want to be?
Yeah. Me, I want to be the kind of mom that loves their children well, right? And I think that's most moms. Not every mom, but most moms, right? We want to love our children well. I want to nurture them, to always make them feel like they are seen, that they have a safe space. I want to be the type of mom that is intentional about teaching them and preparing them for life. But I think the most important thing to me is I want to be the type of mom that always loves Jesus. That when they think of their mom, when my kids think of their mom, that they know that I always love the Lord, and that Jesus was the one that that guided my life always. I want my kids to be like, man, my mom was the same in the house than she was in these streets, right? She is the person that she preaches, and I believe that will impact who they are, and what they believe about this world, and that they are able to discover truth on their own. And yeah, that's the type of mom I want to be. And
When you said you want to love your children well, what does well mean in that sentence? Like, what do you mean?
I think of like not the overbearing, right? Like, oh, I just want to, but I want them to always know that they are loved, but that love can also look like discipline, right? Like that love can also be like, yeah, I'm not helping you in this because I need you to learn, right? Or so I think that the way that love is displayed can be different depending on the situation. Um, and I think at least for me, that's why it's so important for me to just continue to grow in my understanding of God's character, because He's ultimately the number one person or being, that defines what love is. And the more I understand the Lord, the better I have, I guess, chances at being successful at loving my children, right? So that makes sense.
Good. Thank you.
What about you? What kind of mom you want to be?
So of all of my friends, I'm like a huge fan of personality tests.
Oh, yeah,
And I will send out a personality test. What type of friend are you? What type of person are you? And so Enneagram is like my favorite. It's probably the one that like every one of my friends has taken the Enneagram test. My husband has taken the Enneagram test. Like I just love it.
Your friends' husbands have taken.
Yes. I like to know because I am, as you will see in the podcast, like I am a talker. Like I am just big to some people, And if I be honest, I'm only big in spaces where like I feel comfortable being big. But that personality like takes over sometimes. And so I need to know how to communicate with people. And I feel like Enneagram helped me communicate effectively.
Yeah.
But so I looked up what an Enneagram. So I look up everything Enneagram. And a long time ago, I looked up what my Enneagram type mom would be. And it says that I would be a confident mom, protective, empowering, and honest. Um, I do come off as insensitive to some people, but I am very sensitive. Like if you ask my friends, my husband, I will cry. Like I'm easily hurt. So I know that like I will be in tune with my children. So I hope that I will be a mom that's in tune with them. It says that I am an encouraging person. Like I will be an encouraging mom.
Facts.
Teaching them to take on responsibility, to face challenges. Like I definitely want my kids to be unafraid. I think that sometimes that's like my big personality is like the facade of fear, but I don't know how to be afraid in front of people and I don't like to be. Accountability. So I'm going to make sure that they hold themselves accountable, but that they also pursue their dreams. I'm a lion. Okay. Like I said in another episode. So I'm going to advocate for my kids, not in a helicopter type of way. But more in like now I know what my kids supposed to be having and doing right now, and it ain't happening. So being able to advocate for them, lead them in the direction, the Bible says that like train up a child in the way they should go and they will not depart from them. So I hope that I can be training my kids, not just to be great Christians, but to be great humans, global citizens in this world, that they help other people, like I want my kids to fight the bully. I want them to be that unafraid that they fight the bully, that they like, Mom, like I had to take on the bully today because Johnny was being bullied and I ain't like that. So I know that that's the type of kids I'm gonna raise. If they anything like me, I used to take on teachers. So I'm definitely, I'd be unafraid. Don't bully my friends, my kid, my man. Like don't touch them. So my kids are gonna have that. And I will help them reach their full potential. So one thing that I'm always passionate about with anybody in my circle is just like, bro, like you have the skills to do this thing. Like let's make it happen. Yeah. And so I know as a parent, I'm gonna be like the let's make it happen parent. But that's what I envision. Now I might give me a kid and I might turn into Melissa. I might be like more soft, more humble, more gracious. You never know. They say parenting does that to you. Yeah. It changes you when you become a mom. So right now, today, that's the type of mom I imagine myself.
Well, first of all, I think that description was fantastic because I'm like, oh yeah, that's totally yeah, great.
It's Enneagram. It's the best one. But we're not promoting it. We do not pay for it. We're not promoting paying for an Enneagram test. Do the free one.
I would say that this is a good reminder, even just for ourselves too, that even if we don't like you said, we might be something completely different than when we envision, and
That scares me.
we most likely are going to fail at this, even this good vision that we have of what we want motherhood to look like for us.
I just hope I love them. Like, I think my big fear is my distance from people. Like, that it's hard for people to be in my circle. And so I hope that as a mom, like, I grow in my ability to allow people in my community so that like other people can love my kids too. Cause I know me, like, I hope that my kids know that like my push and my, like my drive for them to succeed comes from a place of love. Not like, bro, I just want you to be the best version of yourself, not the best version of me. And sometimes, kids get confused about that. But I do worry about that. Like, cause even in my own thoughts as a mom, I never imagined like the other people around me. So I guess motherhood, I do want that to equal community for me too. Like,
that's good.
That's
Because
why
I
all
think
my friends got to have babies at the same time, so that my community don't have to change.
I say, like, even just the idea of, for example, me speaking into your kids and be like, "Yo, I know your mama. I can understand why you feel that way, and let me provide you a different perspective as to why she may be coming
Because
to
they
you
gonna
that
need
way."
that, okay? Especially if they get a whooping.
On both sides.
Yeah, my husband, he gonna get the chocolate, but my dad, I ain't gonna tell you what we gonna get because I don't want y'all to think that y'all could call anybody on us before we even become parents.
Yeah, I think we've already exposed ourselves too much on that front, giving them too much evidence.
So when did you first like have a moment where you like, oh my God, or I can do this, I can be a mom? Like, when did that moment come for you?
I don't know if I know exactly like this is the moment, per se. But just to kind of give some context, I definitely for the longest time said I didn't want to be a mom. So I think it's very funny, and I'm sure you're like, you're the most small out of the two of us. Yeah, but I wasn't always like this, so it's actually very funny to be sitting in these shoes now. So yeah, like I didn't want to be a mom for the very, for the longest time, especially just given the way that I grew up and being the oldest of four kids, and my mom was very young, and I felt like I had to be a parent to my parents in many type of ways, and sometimes feeling like I had to be a parent to my siblings. I'm like, I already did this parenting thing, whatever kind of
I don't do it for myself.
prideful ego. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. And so yeah, like I always grew up, but I will say, like, I say that, and now being reflective, right, in the future, I remember even just like in my journaling and having those thoughts of just being grateful to God, man, like, Lord, thank you for putting the desire in my heart to be a mom. And I'm like, man, but especially because I always said I didn't want to. But then, or was I lying to myself? Like, was I lying to myself?
You thought it was going to be one way?
I don't know, but maybe that's another topic for another time too, as I process myself. But so that being said, I say that it wasn't until I got married with Mark, once I met the love of my life. I mean, I didn't meet him now. I met him earlier, but I actually got married, and like established life and all the things. I think my nieces and nephews definitely softened my heart, softened my heart to like want to have kids. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, I love them so much, and but I knew that I wasn't their mom, so I felt like they softened my heart. But then having a man in my life that I'm just like, man, I really love him, and I want to have a family, and I want to build this with him, build this life. I no longer saw it as just us two. And I think that's where the desire started growing from, was meeting my match that I actually felt comfortable with doing this thing with. You?
That's good. Same, like in the early times. So I was very out parent, anti-children. Like I said, I didn't want kids at my wedding. So, but what's crazy is I say all of that to say, like, the very first couple of times of me talking to my husband, the thought that came, and it's not that I wanted to be a mom that came in my head. It was, he's going to be a great dad, right? Like, that thought came in. I was like, whoa, man, like, So if I stay with him, I'm gonna have to be a mom, or he gonna be a great dad to somebody else's kids, and I didn't want that. And so, but just seeing that and having that feeling of like, wow, like this man's gonna be a great dad, really made me rethink. Like, wait, like, can I do this? Life. And then as we start building a life together, I think for me, it was, well, what prevents me from wanting to be a mom? Right? Like for me, it's my busyness. Like, oh, I can't fit it in my schedule, And so I married a man who is very much like, well, then forget that schedule, man. You can stay at home. And I think that opened me up to the idea that, like, well, if I was staying at home, I wouldn't mind kids. Like, I wouldn't mind taking care of them. I wouldn't mind taking care of this house. I wouldn't mind, I guess doing those things. And as people always talk about like Christian or non-Christian, Proverbs 31, like that is like the ultimate wife, mom, No, look, no disrespect to Proverbs 31. It's not me coming for Proverbs 31. And the people love to use that as like the basis of what a woman is, and in there, like the Proverbs 31 woman is a mom, and so I think just the more I read scripture and understand scripture and, create life with somebody else, the more I can see myself like veering in this direction. Like I said, I think what I just exposed in this episode, I know like you and Mark, y'all talk about when y'all expose the lie, so that you can deal with it and debunk it. I think for me, the lie I exposed even just now is that I'm going to change to, like, I won't be myself when I become a mom. And so I just don't do it. I just won't be a mom because I want to be this person, but I mean, I'm supposed to evolve, and I might like that person more. That person might be easier for me to love, because of who she is. And so, yeah, I think that's how I got to this space of like even being willing to like discuss this in the podcast of motherhood and what it means. I think I've attached it to like struggle and I ain't gonna have no money and my life, like it's very selfish reasons why. Well, they make sense too to me. But yeah, like I would say that those meeting him, buying a home and like investing in that home and taking care of that home, like those put me in the direction to be like,
this is possible.
You could be a mama. You could be somebody mama.
Yeah.
And it won't fit in your current schedule, but if that's what you want, like you weren't afraid to make a change for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what I'm hearing is just like you said, the Proverbs 31. And it's just like, I feel like a lot of people have used that too to compare you, and you're like, oh, you're not that, so you're not the right type of woman. And it's just like I think we also have these kind of what we talked about earlier, right? Like these ideas of what motherhood looks like, and it may look like, or we think that it looks like having to give ourselves, our whole beings away, and that's not true. And I hope that we learn that, or I guess learn that, adapt that, so grow into that.
Yeah, I definitely, like, if you would have asked me before I met this man, and what I've loved is what marriage has amplified in my identity of mother is like single Alicia, of course. Like there are some things that, yeah, I just could not be a mom. I'm not even gonna lie. Yeah, no. Like I can't imagine her like that.
Yeah.
But like to have covenant with somebody who is in the fight with you, I think that has freed up, I guess, some of my mental space to consider being a mom. But he also like make me feel safe enough to be a mom and to change, and that he's gonna love me anyway. Like they say, like marriage is like an image of God's love or whatever, and I can see that because I see that already. And like even though like I've changed since getting in this, like he still loved me anyway. I know I was talking to one of my guy friends. He talked about that, like when his wife, he thought he loved his wife, and he did. Of course, he loved her a lot. But once she had a kid, he was like he had never loved her like he loved her then, right? And so, like knowing these things, I think that they helped me be okay with this is a journey, and you can do it too. Not gonna be easy, but you're not gonna be alone. So for you, So first, let's define some key words as we move into, I guess, the next part of our conversation.
You're
Is
such a
how would
teacher.
you define?
You're such a teacher. Anyways.
How do you define calling? That
Oh
word.
gosh.
How do you define it so that when we go into this next section, like the people understand what we're talking about?
Calling, I would equate it to purpose. What have I been called to do in this life? Well, I would say it's synonymous, right? To what's my purpose in life. And so I would say calling equals purpose.
Yeah, calling is anything that's beyond myself. Like, it's not necessarily me. It has a spiritual aspect to it, a level of divinity that, like, I was designed for this. I was designed for. Yeah, that's what I would say calling is. Okay, what about craving? How do you want to define craving in this next section?
Desire, what's going to fill your soul.
Okay, to me, that's a little bit of calling. Like, what's gonna fill my soul? You know what I mean? Because shouldn't the calling do that, right? So that's.
I think that already tells you what my answer to this is. But
that's
okay.
interesting. So the next question is this desire, right? Well, first, would you say you desire being a mom?
Yes.
Okay, we have to ask that. We have to ask that as we go into this. You know, like, where do you think that desire is stemming from?
Man, I mean, for me, I know that my desire has come from the Lord, 100%, because I've written this down. I think that's why I know that it is, because I'm like, Lord, if it was up to me, I wouldn't have kids, right? Like you're not the only selfish one, okay? Let's just like, no, like I would much rather be doing what I want to do and, you know, pursue my career and not have to think about, oh, what do kids look like with this job and all the things, you know? And I want to have my husband to myself. I don't want to share it with no kid.
When he told kids,
okay. I remember when Mark told me that when we have a little girl, he would call her baby girl, and I'm like, you can't call her baby girl. You call me
if I'm already
baby girl.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? And so, like, even just the idea that I'm gonna have to share my husband
with this child,
like, no. But God, but God has put it in my heart to raise kids, you know, and I think that is part of our design and part of my design, and so I know that desire has come from Him, and I believe that desire. I don't think that it's a coincidence that I never had that desire with my first husband and that I do with Mark, you know? And so it's like, oh man, like God, there is something that's going to be produced out of my womb with this man that is going to serve your kingdom. And you've put that desire in me. So yeah.
Okay, so I know what you're leaning towards, but I will still ask the question, how would you define this desire for motherhood? Would you define it as a calling, a craving, or both?
Definitely both. They're calling. I mean, I think we talked about it last episode. You mentioned be fruitful and multiply. Like that was one of our first commandments, if not the first, right? One of our first commandments that we were given as humans on this earth is to go be fruitful and multiply. And so I think that can look different, right? And even what we do, anything that we touch we can be fruitful and multiply. Yes. But I think the first comes from our own seeds, right? Which is our body. And so I look at scripture when it comes to, or I look at motherhood as being that. But then also the Great Commission, right? Go forth and make disciples of all nations. Like you mentioned that too last episode, is we are making disciples when we have children. Like our home is our first ministry. And I believe that if God trusts Mark and I with kids, it's going to be first and foremost so that we can raise them to love the Lord. And that may not look like the way we love the Lord. They'll have, and my hope and my desire for them is that they love the Lord in their own relationship and their own way of having a relationship with Him. And so I think there's that part of it that is a calling. And I think there's also a craving. Like there's a craving to want like something that's yours, right? Like there's a craving in my heart for Mark and I's love to create something and for it to love us back. And that's why I was like, oh, something to fill my soul. So I think that there is that part of it. That's like there's my soul wants to be loved back by something that I want to say. Okay, I just think about like we were created in God's image, right? We are His children, and there's a desire that He has to love us, and there's a desire for us to love Him back, whether you choose to or not. There is something in us that desires to love Him back, and I think that is the same reflection that's in our children, right? Like we desire to produce something to love us back just as much as we're going to love them. So yeah, I think it's both. What about you? How are you defining craving?
The same way, just like something that you want, not necessarily like a feel my soul type of way, but more of like a I want this, I'm gonna get this. That's how I define craving. So if I had to say, like, to me right now, who I am today, I would say that motherhood is just a calling for me, part of my design, right? That like there are things that happen in my life that I think start to drive me in that direction, and that's why I say calling versus craving is because like man, God really got to manipulate me into it, because it's not nothing that me today is just saying like I have to do this, but I would say 5% of me, it might be craving 5%, which is not zero. I feel like if it was at zero, it'd be easier. 5% of me, and I think it's because of what I said earlier, that like when I met that man, I was like, man, he's gonna be a great dad. I thought about if I wanted to leave, I could leave those kids with him. And he gonna take care of those kids, and he gonna love those kids. Like, and I think that that's just kind of how my mind goes. But when I'm like, there are moments, in my day where I feel like, oh man, like I could do this with my kid. Or there are things that happen, like me and my husband went to New York recently, and we just chilling on our New York trip, but on the way there, I want to say, and on the way back, like we got to see, like some families traveling, and I was like, a kid to New York with me, and that thought never crossed my mind. I've been to New York already and did not think about having a kid with me, but I wasn't with this man. I wasn't here in this marriage. And so I would say, like, we were walking around and we both, like, it just came out of both of us in the silence. We were just like, yeah, this make a great family trip. And if you'd asked me before, I'm like, I don't want to carry that stroller. I got all this stuff. I don't want to have all this stuff. When parents travel, they just
look miserable. That's why I'm like, look, God is softening your heart, because if I see people traveling with kids, I'm definitely like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
But on this trip, this lady, she just had her baby. Her baby was asleep the entire time, Then when her baby was asleep, getting a little fussy, she just put the baby on her chest. Like, we didn't hear that baby at all. That baby sitting right in front of us, And so I was just like, I wouldn't want to do this alone. And I think that that's the more scary thought. That's why I say more calling than anything. Yeah. Because a call means no matter what changes in my life, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what I'm designed to do. Versus a craving, I think that's situated. Like these factors have to come into play for it. I want all these things so that I can have this desire, right? But the calling is like, if anything happens to Renee, man, I won't feel bad for having that kid, and I would say that's where I'm at, in this journey. Is like, I would be okay if I had to have that kid alone, if I had to have multiple of them alone. And I think he would be okay if he had to do the same thing if something happened to me. And so I'm definitely, but yes, girl, on that trip, I was just like, man, like, this ain't that bad. But I did decide that when we have kids, we taking road trips. I feel like road trips easier.
Yeah.
You don't think so?
No, I would say I don't know about putting them kids on a plane.
You hear about the parents, man. Like,
so if you're putting your kids on a plane, I commend you.
Yeah. If you're able to make it through and the passengers don't look at you,
it's all good.
Because I feel like it's the
look.
passengers.
Let them look.
It's the passengers that make it bad.
Yeah.
But what was I about to tell you? Okay, so I talk to. Do you have a lot of friends? Like, how many of your friends are parents? Like right now, or like in your community, in your.
I'd say I have a good handful of
Okay.
moms. I have a good handful.
So, have you talked to those moms about like parenting?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I can
So,
think of my favorite person to talk about with parenting.
okay, what did they say about it?
Oh man, I think one of the parents that I've learned from the most, she, I've leaned on her a lot with, especially in this season. But her biggest thing is just trusting in God's timing as to when she had this baby. Because even whenever she had her child, they weren't in a situation that they wanted to be in terms of the way that they were living. They were living with friends and like they just had wrestled with that, but then but then also seeing how her child was raised with having that community around her. Man, when I'm telling you, every time I see this baby, like that baby just radiates like Jesus's love. Like it's crazy, right? And I'm just like, how do you raise this holy child, right? And she's just like, man, like it's just we're just like they're just living their life as holy as they can, right? But then also because of the people that are around her and raising her alongside them,
It matters.
It matters, And so, I mean, for me, one big lesson that I've learned from her is just trusting God's timing whenever He chooses to bless us with kids, and that it's not whenever I want it; it's whenever He's ready to give it to me.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
So a lot of the people that I meet, they say parenting is a scam, right? And so I know that like influences me, in my thoughts because I'm like these people are unhappy, And so I've been more diligent about like who I talk about parenting with because of that. Because I'm like, God, if this is a desire you have for me, like you can't keep putting these people in my vicinity because I'm be like, shoot, we shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
And it's gonna change my mind, which is gonna change my husband's mind.
Yeah.
But one of my good friends, she got 5 kids. She loves being a mom. She said if she could have kept going, she would have kept going. And but she couldn't, like her body wouldn't carry him anymore. And like those are the people that I'm like, man, like, okay, you have 5 of them and these are your thoughts. You talk to somebody that got 1 and these are their thoughts, and so and then our good friend, she is very happy. Like she said, if she had to do it all over again and end up with this young boy, she would do it again. And so I think that I have been like the people that's close to my heart. And I've been having to learn that as I grow in this pathway, like in motherhood, like you just got to be careful who's speaking over your motivations. Since this episode is about that, like, man, like I do have dreams of like what would we create? And not just in appearance, but like in personality, in love, in who they are, like in family, like how would this change the dynamic of who we are to each other, And so I just have to be real careful about who's speaking over my motivations and who I'm giving power to. But luckily my circle is very like, do it, man. Get you a kid. Don't delay. Don't delay. Even my aunties who nobody ever pressured me before I married. Like I had I thought my family just didn't care if I had kids. I just hadn't gotten married yet. Okay. I've been doing good though. As you can see, it's 2 weeks. I ain't never had this many in 2 weeks. But my family is very pro. Like, man, Alicia, like this is the desire. This is what God has for you. And the more you have those people speaking that positive life over you, and those people are gonna come because they know what is on this journey. And they're gonna come to bat for me. I think that's helped me. I think that's why I'm at 5% craving. It's because I have enough people speaking to me because if it's just a calling, cool. Like I'm not saying that you can't live your life and make decisions when you know that that's what God designed you for. But if you don't love it, man, like I just think it would be miserable, And so I want to raise my craving level, so that when it does happen, because it will, because that man want kids, that I'm ready. Yeah, with an S, girl. His number be going up. Like we started off. Now my husband, it's nine of them. He has eight siblings, and I was like, ooh, we first met. I was like, do you want that? He was like, no, that's crazy. He was like maybe two or three. But then the other day he said five. I said, now your number rise every year, so I need to stop
You need
waiting.
to start. Start. Woo. So, thinking about your why. So, I know we've kind of touched on some of this already, but do you think your why is more nurturing, legacy driven, teaching driven, or something else?
Gosh, why kids? Probably legacy. I'm trying to think of because I feel like it's a little bit of something else.
Yeah.
But definitely, so I was talking to when we were in New York. One of Renee's nieces lives in New York, and we got on the subject, because we're all in the same age group. Yeah, Renee mama had him older, so some of his nieces and nephews are his age or older than him. And we were talking to his niece, and she volunteers at this library, right? And this is 99-year-old lady that's there, and the lady, was asking her about whether or not, she was gonna have kids and stuff. And she told the lady, like, no, man, like the world is just not a good world right now. Like, I don't want to bring kids into this. You know what the lady told her?
What?
The lady was like, that's the problem, is that good people are stopping, but we need more good people to have kids.
That's so good.
Right? And so I think that, like that kind of pricked my heart. That like my kids will be that legacy, a legacy of goodness.
Yeah.
And not that they're gonna be perfect, right? Because there is no human that's perfect beyond Jesus, but like I want to leave a legacy of goodness that like kind of like that rainbow in the sky, after, God flooded the earth. And he said, this is to show you that I'll never do that again. I think I want my kids to be that, to show that like God is still here. He still exists. He's still real. He's still doing miracles. And I don't know what impact that's going to have on my story, because in order to create legacy, like there's just a trying inside of that I know is going to come from me.
Yeah.
But I just want that to be real. I want my kids to be a testament of him, his legacy.
So good. Yeah, definitely. I think mine's legacy as well. Just God's goodness, God's faithfulness. Like, I think I did share this with you about just reflecting on my grandmother, right? Reflecting on my grandmother. And I haven't told you this part, but I called her and just kind of told her about the experience and how I felt, just worshiping as we were preparing for her graduation. And just so crazy to think of my 84-year-old grandma graduating from something. Anyway, but I just had to say, I was just like on the phone with her, and I was just like, Grandma, thank you. Like, thank you for being faithful. Like, thank you for choosing Jesus. Thank you for always like praying over us. And because of your faithfulness, like my life has been changed, right? And I believe that like those around me life is going to be changed because of her faithfulness, right? For her choosing to walk alongside Jesus. And that's what I like. That's my hope and desire for my kids too, is that Mark and I are able to, raise good children that love the Lord and that want to serve others and their own talents and their own capacities. And because you're right, like there's so much ugliness, and there's so much, we live in a fallen world, and we all experience it, and we can sometimes feel like there is no hope, and that's not true. There is hope. And I believe that the children that we are going to bring into this world have a choice. They do have a choice to see that hope in us and to pour it back into this world. And that's my hope for them, is that they make that choice, that we plant enough seeds in them that blossom, and that they're able to then plant their own seeds into this world of goodness and love and all the things. And so, and I mean, since we're talking motivation, I do think that one thing that I didn't touch on and kind of want to speak on is something that I've been reflective on my own self, is just like the reality is that when having a desire to have kids, there is, I think I kind of touched on it, but that's what I need to get out of my head. It's like that they're not, that there's a part of my soul that's going to be filled, right? Like I think that there is a gap in my heart of wanting to feel love that I think that my kids are going to feel, right? And yeah, like I think that there is an aspect of that that is true, right? Like there is an aspect of their love that is going to fill a desire in my heart, but, or I guess, yeah, but that there's going to be a day when my children, just like us, right, left our parents, and there's going to be a day when my children leave and go do what God has called them to do, and they're not going to call me all the time. They're not going to be spending time with me. There's going to be a day when they're not going to choose to hug me anymore, right? Because they're snotty teenagers.
You better hug me.
But so that means that I have to recognize that I can't be dependent on their love, right? Like that there is a love that that's not going to be coming from them, and I can't just rely on that. And so I have to be aware of that and walking into motherhood too. That I just need to continue to put to death in sense of like that dependency of their love. So yeah.
I was thinking about that message today about like idols, and what you said kind of made me be like, 100%. Idol?
No, 100%. Trust me.
Is that an idol?
Yes. That's why I thought it was funny that I heard that message today, and then we're talking about this. Like, yes, it is. Like,
let me see. What am I? I think for me, in terms of me not wanting it, I would say like my body is that thing, like that thing that I'm not willing to sacrifice for that, you know, because it is like there is nothing nobody can tell me like I'm going to be different, my body's going to be different. This baby done resituated me, you know, and so I'm scared of that. And I think that for me, like that's where like I'm glad that calling is so high for me, because if it was just craving like material and appearance, like natural things would knock that down, you know. But to know that like that there is something beyond me that's saying like you must oblige, you know, by this. I think that helps me in my decision making around it. But when you were talking about your grandmother, like I just thought about like even that as part of our legacy, that like this is generational, you know, like we literally have a generation inside of us, you know, and the longer we delay it, the less likely they are to meet other generations, you know. And I'm not saying I'm gonna want to do this tomorrow, next year, or 2 years from now, you know, but I do know, like I know, like when I married my husband, like my husband, his mom is 70, right? So, you know, I think there's a level of delay that I'm like graced with, but it's just like they'll never meet their grandparents on that side because her parents are gone, you know, and his dad's parents are gone, and his dad is gone, you know. So the longer I wait, just in this episode, I'm just thinking about that. Thank you, God, I guess, you know, for dropping that. It's just like there are generations that they won't learn from, if they won't glean from, if I never have them, you know. And only my kid is going to learn like my kid is going to learn. Only what we create, each time we create it, is going to be different.
Yeah.
Only they're going to get that. And so I think that is mind blowing, you know, like that. Like my kid is third generation from my mama and fourth generation from my grandmama. You know, like I want them to have that. You know, like I would say that's a part of my, like just now became part of my motivation. It's just generations.
Yeah.
You know, like, and what do we learn from each one? And how will my kid be different from 4 generations from now?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Just thinking about you were built for a time as this, right? Our kids, we think this generation is crazy. The next generation is gonna be crazy.
Maybe not. I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about their generation. Can you give me one?
Oh,
I've been thinking a lot. I've been thinking a lot about their generation, and
we're very real here. Clearly,
I'm sorry, y'all. My eyelash was really bothering me, and I've been doing so well and not picking them that I didn't want to start today. This is the longest I done had. My 2 weeks look so good.
They do.
I'm just like, yeah, I don't know what to do. I think that's why they itch, because they growing. They finally get a chance to grow out instead of being picked out. But I don't think of the next generation.
Oh
I
yeah.
feel like it's either or, right? Like, yes, we live in a fallen world, but even like back in the day, because their world was pretty fallen back then,
You're right.
biblically, like there was always one, and there was always a group, and there was always a community. I just hope that my kid finds that walk cool enough to join it earlier, right? Like, I feel like I went through like a really great phase of time. Like when we met, oh my God, we was so Jesus freaks, like that was my password on MySpace, like we was just
Have you
so
deactivated because somebody's about to
into it.
hack?
Ain't nothing on there. I got in like the other day randomly, like maybe a year ago. You can't look at your pictures no more on there because yeah, they gone. They say that. First of all, the web is not deep and dark because my Instagram picture's not on there. I was looking for something for seventh grade so I could post it at my school, even though I wouldn't want them to see me at seventh grade. I was gonna do it, but but then like we went away a bit, and now we're back and we're young, like we are, like
My
we're
back don't feel
so
like it.
young. That's that 30 in us. We're young. I just hope that my child is stronger than me,
Ooh, yes. Yes.
you know.
I do.
Like if I had to say like that motivates me is to have, I'm not saying I'm living through my kid, but there's a part of me that wants to see what life would have been like if I didn't fall off. And if my kid can fulfill that, like, and show me, like, dang, this is possible, I just wonder what that would mean for their kids.
Mm.
Because there's parts of my story that are just tainted. I wonder what life would be like if my kid doesn't have that taint, like, and
Yeah.
how that would look.
Yeah. That's good. I feel like I had something else I was gonna say, and
You was actively listening.
yeah.
It's a problem.
Oh wow. Oh goodness gracious. All right. Is there anything other? I guess any other questions you want to ask before we go to our closing
I'm
question?
trying to think. I feel like there are more questions that I had, but I can't think. Got a special guest in the background, y'all.
Yes.
Yes.
Alicia's motivation.
Yes, this is my motivation. My motivation don't walk in the room.
Hey, hey, hey.
Uh, but yeah, like it is. I don't know if I have a question as much as, well, maybe. So, what traits do you hope to give? I think it's a great time to talk about this. We're talking about motivations. Like what
Yes.
traits, and I don't mean like I mean like internal traits. Like what do you want them? What do you hope they carry?
Um, a heart to serve.
Mm.
Like I hope that my kids have a heart to see other people's needs and to be able to fill those needs. Um, and to work hard, like I think that's something that my parents always taught me. I think those two things really, like my parents took me on a mission trip as a kid,
I
you
didn't know
know,
that. Where y'all go?
to Querétaro, Mexico.
I don't think you ever told me
Oh
this.
yes, we went to go serve as a one of the churches there set up like a clinic, and they basically brought doctors, and big focus was for glasses, like for people to like get
Mm-hmm.
their eyes tested and get glasses, but they also brought like just like um, doctors to help with little things that they could at
Mm-hmm.
least like on base. And so we went, my parents and I think I don't know if all my sisters went or it was just some. I can't remember exactly, but I remember going as a translator, and and my parents did that too. And like my dad just last year, even the beginning of this year or last year, went to go on a mission trip to go help build a church. And like when my dad tells me that, like it just fills my heart because that's just the type of man he is. And my mom is the same way. Like
Mm.
she will pour into people, and there's balance to that. Like right, like I've had to grow to learn that there's a balance to how much you give. But I think that's just something that I love about myself is just that I have a heart to see people and to serve them well, and I hope that my kids have that same heart. And I think Mark and I both um, are passionate in terms of what we do and what we put our hands into. And so having that work ethic to just go after the things that they want and desire. And so, but also like coming with a balance. I hope they have a healthier balance than we have had with, hustling and whatever we've done. So, and I hope that they have a sense of humor.
That's a good one.
I hope they're funny because I think Mark and I are both funny in our own ways. So
I'm not that funny.
I think you are.
I hope they're funnier. I hope they make me laugh. I hope they make me laugh. Because one of my good friends, she's so funny. And she was just like, yeah, if my kid's not funny, she's going to be disappointed. And I think it would disappoint her, if I be honest, if her kid isn't funny. She needs to come on the show. But if I would say, and you know what? I don't say that I don't have a heart to serve. I would say like being with you always gives me a more charitable heart, like I would love to go on a mission. I've never done anything like that. And I think that those moments give you a heart to serve. Yes, I can give $1 to the person on the street, and that's one way of charity. But volunteering like at the soup kitchen or things like that, like I haven't always given myself an opportunity to do those things. And I hope that I would love for my kids to have that heart, a heart to give. And be hardworking for sure, and have a need to protect. Like I hope that I give that to my kids. That like the world is a great place, and it has dangerous areas, and it is our duty to make sure that people are safe. I want them to carry that same feeling of like I need to protect what's mine, and mine is your siblings, your heart, your mind, like whatever is yours. Like I hope they have a desire to protect that and take care of it. But I hope that they are more vulnerable than me. Like I am learning that, and maybe, like I said, I think that's at the beginning of the episode, like that's what scares me sometimes is that being a parent will like literally shatter my shell and I will naturally have to be more vulnerable and that scares me, but I hope that my kids don't never have that wall. That they feel so safe to be themselves. They don't have to have a wall where like they're learning where to be themselves, but that they like, I'm myself everywhere I go because who I am is who I am and who God created me. So I hope they have that.
I love that. You've grown so much.
Thank you, friend. Thank you. I'm trying. I'm learning. Okay, I'm learning. Okay.
Well, last question we have is what's one quirky thing your mom or dad did that you secretly want to pass on?
Okay. So my dad, he wanted, we had to have all been in school because Willie was there. So we had to have been, if Willie was there, me and Felicia was in elementary school, maybe middle school if he had been visiting from college. He set us down at Burger King, right? We chilled at Burger King as a family. And I don't know where he got this idea from, where it came from, but he was like, you know what? I want all my grandkids to call me Papa Wow.
Papa Wow?
Papa Wow.
Okay, why?
I don't know. I don't know why he wanted that, but we were like, "What? No, they're not gonna be calling you Papa Wow."
Do they call him?
Yes.
For real?
Yes. That's their Papa Wow.
I don't think I've ever heard that.
So when they were all little, like Elijah, when he was little, he called him Papa Wow. Now he just probably call him Papa.
Yeah.
But
at some point in their
they
life,
all have called him Papa Wow.
That's cute.
And so cute. I want to have some cool nickname for myself. For my kids, and I want them to get a chance to call him Papa Wow.
Oh,
I just want them to like that's your Papa Wow. And now he say for our kids he gonna be Abuelo Wow.
Look at him adapting.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's Abuelo Wow.
I love it. I love it.
I hope to pass that on.
Yeah.
And be randomly good at cooking something. Like my dad is like. He did not cook as much growing up as my mama did, but now he be cooking all the time. Like he's great at desserts. He has like a real good skill set. So I want to build a random skill that my kids are so surprised their mom has that they're like, did y'all know that mama could? Whatever it is, I don't know how I'm in that sentence.
Blank.
Mama could. What about you? What is the quirky thing you want to pass on?
Okay, so it's funny because when we first talked about this question, I was like, I don't know. But then I was hanging out with my mom yesterday and I was like, okay, this is definitely it. My mom, okay, it's three girls, one boy. Okay, three girls. And growing up, and still now, clearly, like she will call every name, and the person she's actually calling is the last person she'll say. Like if she's trying to call me, she'll say Samantha, Elizabeth, Melissa, like all like.
What?
And so she did that yesterday, and I was like, Mom, first of all, you gave us our name. How do you not know our name?
Which one you want?
Second, you had three. It's not, Grandma had nine. Maybe she has an excuse, but you had three girls and just David, okay? Like, don't ever call me David. Now, you call me David now. But like, you didn't have many choices to think of. And Mark and I realized yesterday that it was like she doesn't slow down to think. Like she just goes.
That's hilarious.
That probably was too loud for that mic. But anyway, it just like had me laughing so much yesterday. And I was just like, but then it was even funnier when she did it to Eliana because she called all of our names and then Eliana. I was like,
So now she got added in.
now she
Eliana
added,
wasn't even there.
bruh.
She knew. She
And
knew.
so I just hope that I do something silly that my kids always remember and laugh about because that was hilarious. I'm just like, Mom, slow down for like 2 seconds.
Remember who you need.
And now speak. But it's funny. And then kind of honestly just kind of stealing off of yours, it made me think about my dad of like him bringing me in to like build. I remember building a fence with him, right? And so I want to bring my kids in to do things that with their hands, but then also things that may feel out of their norm of their gender. Because it's like, oh, little girls don't have to build fences. Heck no, my dad didn't say that. He's gonna help. Like he's taught me. You're gonna learn how to build a fence, right? And I think that just has made me so well rounded as a person.
I think so. That's probably why you're an engineer today.
That's probably why I'm an engineer today. You're actually right because of my daddy. Tears, tears, tears. So yeah, that they don't have. I don't want my kids to feel like they're in a box because of the gender that they are.
That's what me and Renee say too. Like for our kid, like I told him, so my trade is education. And so I like to do a lot of research and I currently work the past 4 years I've been going on 5 years I've been in all girl education. And one of the things it talks about is like the impact of the daddy daughter relationship and what it has on a girl's confidence. Right? That the more like girls are more likely to like read with their mom, learn how to sew, learn how to cook, right? Because those are like primarily what they will be doing with mom versus dad. Like they're more likely to do that. Like that was the exact example that they used in the book was that the dad walked in the house and was like, "Hey, this part of the fence is broken. I need you to fix it by tomorrow." Right? And like through that, like that daughter, she was the one talking about it. Like through that experience, like that daughter built confidence and capability. Like, like there are three things a girl needs, they say, which is confidence, competence, and connectedness. And competence is the hardest one to build, especially if you don't raise like an athlete. Because athletes naturally do all three together when they work on a team. But she said that she never got that experience of like her dad trusting her to fill whatever gap or whatever broke in the fence. And so me and Renee, we talk about that too. Like, man, I was like, I want my kid to like, I was raised in the city, which is not a bad thing, but it made me like, and I'm allergic to grass. So like being outside, like I always, like if there's freshly cut grass, like I'm literally just itching. My head start itching, my whole body itch. But like I married a man who loves outside, right? Like he want to go to the ranch. He want to do this. And I was like, I hope that my kids get that, right? Like that they are outside kids. They're not afraid of the wasp, stinging them or the spider. Like they're not afraid to kill it like their mom was.
I'm terrified.
But I don't want that for my girl, or for my son. I want them to be like outside people, So I hope that I give them that. Well, I hope he give them that because I ain't gonna be the one giving it.
Well, I think that's a good way to transition into our takeaways because I think one of my biggest takeaways right now has just been being reminded of all the good things my parents gave me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I building this fence, man. Like I am a woman who most of the time am in a space with only men. Like my trade is construction, engineering, and construction, and so I am one of very few women that's mostly in those spaces. And so, like, man, like my dad prepared me for that. And I never even thought about that. So that's really cool. And it's kind of awesome to just kind of talk about both of our motivations and just kind of hear both of our stories. And so, yeah.
For me, my big takeaway is I have to be the thing I want to pass on.
Mm.
Like, because you have a heart for giving, like it's easy for you to pass it on. They're gonna see you do that. And so what do I want my kids to see me do? I have to start doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my big takeaway. Well, that's all, folks, as they would say.
Yes.
We can't wait to see y'all at the next episode and to hear what you have to say based on what you heard today.
Yeah. Thanks for being with us today at Trial, Error, and Tiny Humans. Follow the show, subscribe on YouTube, and connect with us on Instagram. But most importantly, share this with someone who may be encouraged. Until next time, bye.